The year is 2018. That is a track called Because. It's from a gentleman by the name of Simple Kid, who has released a load of great music, but not recently. And Simple Kid is Kieran McFeely, who's on the phone to me, a Cork gentleman, but who is not based in Cork anymore. Kieran, look, it's been a very, very long time. How are you?
I'm very good, thanks. It's good and rather strange to be back on the phone in this manner, but yeah, it's good, nice.
Yeah, it's been a while, because we're talking 2006 was the year that SK2 or Simple Kid 2 came out, and that is neither today nor yesterday. But this wonderful song that we just heard, Because, was something that just literally arrived. Tell me a little bit about this first.
This is just I've kind of been building a studio in my house for the last kind of 3 or 4 years, bit by bit, and sort of working normal civilian in the daytime, and then living a kind of a secret existence into the night, recording songs just purely for my own kind of joy, really, I guess. And occasionally when they go quite nice, or they work out well, or they, a lot of songs you do, sort of, or a lot of what I do, I sort of listen back and go, oh, that didn't really happen. But when they kind of seem like proper songs, I just kind of tend to upload them to YouTube or something, and generally get a couple of friends who I haven't spoken. It's almost like a social thing at this point. People who haven't heard my name for like a couple of years, as in like friends and stuff, will just go, oh, saw that, how are you? And we'll have a little chat. So it's kind of a nice little thing I'm just doing for myself. So there's no kind of grand plan, but it's quite nice just writing and recording songs purely for the sake of doing what you want to do, just free of any outside interference, I guess.
Now, if you were listening very closely, when you just said there's no grand plan, you would have heard a real sigh of disappointment from a number of people. But I mean, the thing about it is, it was like, I mean, you'd been in bands. I could name a few of them off. Well, the Young Offender's been the main one anyway, and that's gone back 2 decades at this stage. You released a debut album, Simple Kid 1, that goes back to 2003 as well. I mean, what are your recollections of the time, particularly around the first album?
The first Simple Kid album, it was very high stakes in my head. There was a lot of expectation. It was really exciting, but possibly kind of quite stressful at the same time, I suppose. I'd gone from being kind of similar, even though in a much kind of poorer way. I was kind of very sort of skint at the time and just writing songs. Then it became this thing, and lots of people started saying nice things, but a bit of pressure came with that as well. And I suppose what's happened to me is that I've been sort of the next big thing about 3 or 4 times in my life. So I'm kind of a bit done with being told that sort of thing. So it kind of always rolls off and sort of falls sideways somewhere. And now I'm kind of at the point where I'm just like, I just want to do music if I'm in the mood to do music, and not that interested in sort of, I suppose, having it kind of choreographed into the world. Because I just don't think it's probably at this point something that's going to happen. I've got kind of other things to be interested in, I suppose. But they're kind of very exciting, very sort of, I suppose, very manic times, I suppose, for me. So I'm not entirely kind of, it's quite nice to be kind of away from it as well, if you know what I mean. It's a pleasant memory, but I'm kind of glad I jumped ship when I did.
I mean, do you when you hear songs from let's say the first album, and I'm sure you stumble across them at some point or another. I mean, is it a sense of immense pride, or are you nitpicking, going, oh, the drums are too loud, or what? What kind of thoughts come into your head?
I mean, you'd be surprised how little I come across songs like that. If I do listen to them, I mean, the first album did sound a bit kind of wonky. Hopefully in a nice way, but I wouldn't nitpick with that album because there's some glaring kind of, it's not nitpicking. It's like the drums really are too loud, or the drums really are too weird, or whatever. I don't know. I guess it's just a kind of it brings back memories for me. The way music sometimes does. You kind of imagine a place, or it's associated with somebody. And as I say, kind of it's all kind of good because I kind of got out before it was getting sort of difficult, I suppose, or kind of too difficult. So. I've got kids now, so they're really fascinated by this kind of stuff. And if I do hear, they're probably in the room and they ask me loads of questions, so it's kind of a different thing, really. But it's nice. It's nice kind of to have an area of your life documented quite well.
And I mean, you mentioned the kind of, well, music has changed hugely, and I mean, you're probably talking not too long after the second Simple Kid album came out, which was 2006 in Europe and 2007 in America, because things kind of did start changing kind of not too long after that. I mean, does it in some ways seem kind of a little bit alien, what we were all doing back then?
Very much so. I mean, I have a friend, I've got lots of friends who've been working out, but a friend visited me recently, and she's very much in the music industry, and she's come down and tell me how things are done. And I felt like a person, like some sort of Victorian, you know, like just completely out of the loop, the way she was talking about Shazam and the way they're kind of monitoring the hits and sort of like all this kind of data. But she was telling me loads of really positive things as well, because she was, you know, like all my friends when they come down, they tell me I need to start kind of doing stuff. And she was telling me about people kind of a bit like in my situation who have got decent careers, but kind of not in a fully immersive way. You know, there's people apparently kind of carving out their own little space, but kind of on their own terms and stuff. So, but it all seems utterly, I mean, you saw me trying to get on Skype earlier on today, something like that. So
I wasn't
kind of an element.
I wasn't going to bring that up, actually.
I think it's always best to be honest about these things. So yeah, it's very alien. But you know, it seems kind of good and bad, I guess. But you know, I guess if you know what you're doing, it seems to be really nice now.
I mean, does the idea of a stage ever excite you at all anymore, or is that just something that that's the past?
Well, I think I kind of vary a little bit. I mean, I stay up very late at night recording, and I think for me, recording is a kind of a bit of a megalomaniac moment. Like, songs don't turn out quite the way that they do when you're halfway through a song. So, as bizarre as it sounds, kind of when I'm halfway through a song and it hasn't quite finished yet, there's times where I think it's like the most important thing in the last 20 years. You know, you kind of, otherwise you wouldn't bother finishing it. You know, you kind of, your imagination goes wild, and in those kind of times at sort of 3 a.m, I'll always be thinking about, you know, I think I kind of picture stages when I'm writing a song. I sort of picture myself delivering it anyway. So there is a part of that. And when the kind of kids get a bit older and a little less kind of needy, I suppose, maybe. But I mean, I would start off in my local kind of town sort of thing, and I don't know, maybe try and put an album together at some point in a very kind of small label or something. But it's all a little bit far away. I guess if I could kind of gather sort of 12 decent songs in the next while, maybe I'd kind of package something together and see if anyone was interested.
You see, in the space of 7 minutes, we've gone from no grand master plan. Kieran, I hate to tell you, that sounds kind of like a little bit of a master plan, and don't deviate from it at all. Actually, let's just keep that there.
Maybe
okay.
Master plan's a little bit. Maybe master plan's a little bit of
plan,
but
plan.
It would be something nice to put something in, at some point. What's really nice for me is kind of, it's because there's no one kind of waiting or anything like that in terms of like industry type stuff. It's really nice to just kind of, weeks will go by where I won't write a thing, and then something will occur and I'll write, and as I say, sometimes it'll sort of not get finished because it doesn't seem like it's got legs, but other times it will come along. So if something does come together, hopefully it'll be kind of very natural and sort of, you know, actually be worth it. And I'd be completely fine not doing it if it didn't sound kind of quite good to me. So there's kind of zero pressure, which is cool.
Can I just ask you about the second album? Because as I said, it was 2006 when it came out here, Simple Kid 2. I mean, when you got to that album, did you kind of seem a little bit more wiser and a little bit more in tune about what it is that you wanted to do musically?
It's a really nice, that album for me. It's probably more pleasant memories than the first album, even though I think from the outside people probably feel the first album had more sort of impact. But that second album was done entirely kind of produced by me at home in my bedroom. And yeah, I had I was kind of thinking about Hunky Dory a lot from Bowie, even though it doesn't sound like that, but it's kind of that sort of has a particular kind of sound. And I kind of found these tape machines that had their own kind of sound, and I just kind of had a little bee in my bonnet, and I knew what colour it's weird, like it's all mixed up with me. I knew what it was going to sound like, and I knew what the colour of the cover was going to be, you know, the kind of beigey colour, brown, or that's how I heard it. And when I went on tour with that album, loads of kind of big bands invited me on tours as support, so I was travelling the world, and there was no pressure again because it wasn't really taking off, that album, so the record labels weren't really on my case or anything, but I was just having a really nice time with these bands, touring around America, Europe. And it was kind of, again, it was very kind of, the album was out, I really liked how it sounded. It wasn't setting the world on fire, but I was off doing it, and it was just kind of this really kind of free time, and I was experimenting with kind of live playing with kind of videos and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a really kind of freeing time, I suppose. It was definitely a good couple of years, that, for me.
Well, look, who knows if any sort of plan, let's just forget the word master, comes along, and now album number 3 comes along. These things are always better than 3, Kieran. Trust me. Maybe you could travel the world again, or maybe Europe, wherever that might be. But look, it's great to speak to you, and it's great that there is new music. I don't want to say afoot, because that sounds just a bit weird, but anyway, there is new music being made by you, and you're enjoying it. And look, as I said, it's just lovely to speak again. I think last time I spoke to you, you still had a Cork accent.
Oh.
So, as I said, it's a while ago.
I'll get abused for that now.
Listen, thanks so much for chatting to me. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thanks a million for calling in.
Lost in Space, that is a new track from Simple Kid, who has not been on the show for a very long time, although actually there was around 6 months ago. Kieran McFeely, who is Simple Kid, is on the line. Kieran, new music. I didn't see this coming. Where did these songs come from?
Gosh, yeah. I suppose I didn't really see it coming either. I've got kind of a secret life when I come home from work, and I go up to my loft at night and I start messing around with things, and I kind of made some resolution at some point to start finishing things again for the first time in a long time. So these are just tunes, and I'm in the lovely position of not really analysing them and thinking about them too much. I've just decided to sort of finish things again and just sort of put them out in some level, just so they're not just roaming around in my head going, I wonder if that would be any good. It's just I'm going to finish them, good or bad, just finish them. That's the new rule. So quite nice to be doing it again, actually. It took a while to get into the swing of it. But
now you mention it, it did take a while, but let's not dwell on these details. But I mean, you say to finish songs off. Are there many more songs kind of lurking in the loft, awaiting to be released?
Well, that's, I suppose, to be seen in the sense that, for years, I mean, I'm the kind of person I've been doing songs since I was 14, I'd imagine, was when I first started thinking that they were actually songs. So I'm just completely in the habit of churning things around in my head. I can never really tell whether it's a genuinely finished song or if it's just a half-baked idea. So there's many things to be done up there, and they're continuing to be done. Generally around holidays, if anyone is tracking, you'll notice that around kind of school holidays is where suddenly there's a bit of time. In the middle of a term time, you'll find that it all goes a bit dark. But yeah, there's stuff churning around in my head.
Within, I've said this to you already, but within around 10 minutes of one of them going up, somebody was in touch with me going, are these legit? Or is someone pretending to be Simple Kid? But they are legit. I mean, we've spoken about this before, but you have the 2 albums. I mean, would there be any sort of plan for the future, no matter how loose, that there might be an EP, or that a word, that there might be a third Simple Kid album if all goes well, if holidays are extended, perhaps?
Yeah, if I get sacked or something, there's definitely a double album. It's that, I think if I get to a reasonable amount of tunes that are sort of sound okay, and people seem to think they sound okay in terms of kind of friends or whatever, I'll put the feelers out. But I mean, gosh, I'm so, I don't even know, do people do albums anymore, or are they back in fashion, or whatever way? So I'll just kind of put the feelers out when I think, there might be something there. Probably not quite there yet. There's kind of a few tunes I like, and some of them seem okay. But I don't know. Again, I'm purposely kind of not sort of being strategic or anything. I'm just loving the fact that I can just do it at home and stick it out on YouTube and see if someone likes it or whatever. It's quite a nice little thing for now.
Is it a pleasant surprise that there's still such a decent level of interest?
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice. I mean, it's always, you wouldn't take for granted, So if someone says nice things, it's always really nice. Again, I try not to, it's really weird. I kind of find that if I start even thinking kind of outside of my head too much, it sort of starts feeling strange again. So I I'm probably trying to just write your songs and put them out and don't worry too much. But like, you try not to kind of count the likes, you know what I mean? Count the hits or whatever it's called. So.
I suppose, yeah. Look, it's whatever keeps things going, keeps you interested. But look, it's great to have new material. It's good that the songs sound so well as well. We had Lost in Space. So, Kieran, look, thanks for speaking to me. This is the other track that we were talking about. This is The Only Child. You're a gentleman. Thanks a million.
Pleasure.